Well, you know how it is. I said I would do a third game between Veeq and neblime, so let's do it. I'm back on Fata Morgana for this particular case. By the way, I don't know if that's how you're supposed to say it, but GLHFs are exchanged. Bedazzle Blue, Terran in the top right, that's neblime. Meanwhile, Veeq is the Lemon Zerg. I mean, Protoss. I always say Lemon Zerg for some reason. I don't know why. It's hard-coded into my brain to think of Zerg as lemons, as opposed to lemmings. I thought lemmings were also from Australia. What are lemmings? They're a small rodent usually found in or near the Arctic in tundra biomes. Well, that doesn't sound like Australia to me. One of the things that happened recently is that a YouTuber by the name of Hyang Yuja, which I assume is supposed to be Huge Wang, but they spelled it wrong, has been uploading uncommentated playthroughs of CMBW maps, as well as Stormborn recently, which is kind of a blast from the past. And it made me a little nostalgic for that era, where I had a bunch of content that was like co-opable. And it wasn't about 1v1s, it wasn't about proving your worth versus other players, bro. It's just, let's just try to defeat the AI menace. And that's kind of how Western society feels in general. So neblime is going to re-up on the idea of floating his stockade across the map. And he was just about to put down another one. So honestly, this timing, I mean, Veeq should be a little sniffy, but it might be enough. I mean, also the stockade isn't actually floating across the map, and the scribe is heading straight forward. Oh no! The jig is up. You forgot to lift it. No, never mind. Veeq pulled away too fast. He was about to see it, but then he didn't see it. But he should see the Mason. But he should be like, what the fuck? Why was the Mason over there? And then he should think, oh my god, I'm going to get rushed again. But at least his gateway is at home now, so maybe he's okay. But no, as Protoss, you always want to send your first unit across the map to fight Terran because they're weak at the beginning of the game. So why would you keep your shit there? Oh, Ahmed. Wait, don't fly it over there. What the fuck is wrong with you? Oh, neblime. Well, meanwhile, a Mason is on the way. No, neblime, please. Please, neblime. Neblime, please. No, you're going to fly it directly into the gateway. Neblime, please, no. No. Oh, thank goodness. Saved. Saved. Ahmed is saved. Ahmed be among us. Not suspicious whatsoever. All right, we have 0 gas harvested for neblime. The gateway is out, and the Dracodon is also out, and it will just chase away this Mason, which is a little unfortunate because that Mason could have constructed an anchor, but it looks like Ahmed will be rallied. And is Veeq going to fall for the same thing twice? I mean, last game was just total cheese, which is pretty funny. We do have 3 Mavericks out here. With a little bit of support, they can deal with Dracodons. He saw the gateway turning. He should remember, okay, Dracodons take 30 seconds to build. That means that I should wait for like a certain number of Hurricanes and then like sort of like at the interval, right? Like every 30 seconds I look up, I should expect that there's going to be another one. But there was a Nexus put down instead, so that might throw his count off a little bit. I'm not even sure if he's paying that much attention. He had a while there where his stockade was not blinking. His anchor is nearly complete. Maybe that's what he was saving for. I wasn't really paying attention to his money at the time. And this is the kind of early game pressure that can absolutely prank you if you're not the Terran in this situation, because the anchor is up. Okay, I can expand behind this and lift the Ministry. And obviously I've got the boys over here as well. So, you know, worker disadvantage, but it's not going to be for long. Hey, there's Ahmed in my base. What the hell? Well, instantaneously pulling all of the scribes, and neblime didn't pay attention to his minimap, so he had no idea that he's been spotted. Ahmed's just sitting there picking his nose, thinking, no, if they can't see me, if I don't move, that sort of thing. So a Dracodon does complete and will now stand guard. Neblime still has no fucking idea that this has happened. Absolute goofball goober moment. And yes, from his perspective, he was upside down on the ceiling, so obviously Veeq had no idea. He was looking at the ground, not the ceiling. Unfortunately, Australia, it does not work that way. A Cyprian chasing away a scribe. Shoo! Meanwhile, Ahmed about to get the same treatment by these Dracodons. Oh no, we've been had! Quick, charge into the mineral line, and the stockade lifts off. Alright, yeah, get him. 2 scribes have died so far. Yeah, stack them up more. Stack them up more, Veeq. Oh my god, another one died. Oh my god, another one died. Alright, it was only 4, you know, with like 6 Ahmeds or 7 Ahmeds or whatever that was. And then killing only 4 scribes, that's a big letdown. He could have done a lot more. But at the very least, neblime will have the worker, not the lead for very long, considering Veeq is in a situation where he has that second Nexus already up. But hey, we can get some kind of something going on over here, where the anchor is in a pretty good position. So something that I've noticed neblime likes to do, he likes to put a Huracan, a Cyprian, and a Maverick into the anchor. It's like let's just, like, diversity is our strength, brothers. That's what Neblime's anchors always look like. It's like the cast of characters. All that's missing is a cleric. Obviously, he can't fit, though. No room for women in this hellhole. No space. Third gate coming. Looks like another pylon will be dropped there on the right-hand side. That's the kind of thing that you would say, hey, that kind of cheese only works once. But actually, it kind of worked twice, except, Neblime didn't pay attention to the minimap. If he just struck as soon as he was scouted, he would have killed so many more scribes, forced so many more worker pulls and stuff like that. So, I don't know. It was weird. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Ahmed wasn't so hidden after all. That being said, a Maverick is going to go ahead and slowly walk across the sand dunes, just sort of reporting back. Hey, there's a shitty old graphic that's been damaged over here. Well, it's a good thing we've got the new one. Honestly, something I didn't consider until just now is we're replacing all of these graphics, right? But also, the units are different, and also, like, the tech is at a higher base level overall. So when you think about it like that, it's kind of interesting, right? Because it's kind of like, oh, yeah, of course we would have, like, a new model for the Huracan, because it does more stuff. It's not just from a gameplay standpoint, though. It's from, like, a lore standpoint. The equipment has been updated, So it's like, oh, yeah, the new Goliath is, like, a new model of Goliath. I don't know. It's kind of interesting to think about it that way. Feels pretty natural, I would say. All right. We do indeed have some more stuff massing out here for Veeq. Wraith is going to go ahead and scout him out, see the pylons. Hey, there's no Argosy over here. And he put a pylon there? That's an interesting position for it. The Wraith will just heckle some scribes. Not really going to do too much damage, I don't think. In fact, if he even gets one kill, which he does, I think it's a little goofy. Oof. That forces a pylon there as well. Doesn't want that to happen again. Wraiths build slower, move slower, attack worse, and the star pad costs more money. So that combination of factors, I'm sure, has dissuaded people from building them. But honestly, I feel like they're still pretty reasonable. It's just, versus Protoss specifically, it's not going to work out too much. I know Mystery Meat said that versus Zerg, Nathracors kill them, but I feel like with good micro, that's probably not the case. Obviously, they do move faster, so there is that. Another diverse anchor has been assembled. I don't know why. Like, I would have to pick Neblime's brain, so check in the comments as he walls off one of his own Masons. Well, the Goliaths are now... Well, there is at least one Goliath here. Trying to lure them in. Hey, you want to dive? Ooh, get sassed, get lobotomized, get lobotomied, get goobered. Oh my god, goobered again. Goliath is enjoying the range bonus here, only getting attacked by a small dappling of these Drakodins. And yeah, Veeq has lost... I was going to say 4 Drakodins, but one of them lives with 1 HP. And here's another Vulture to lay more mines. So this is the kind of thing that I was talking about, right? Like, this is a very, very gateway-focused Protoss army. There is no other follow-up this time around, although Veeq is banking a lot of resources and has dedicated a lot of his money into harvesting Vespene. So it looks like he will be going for some kind of tech, but at the same time, he needs to be able to sustain his military push, and he's not actually that far ahead in terms of workers, right? His actual count is only 4 above, and that's going to be rectified pretty soon as Neblime continues to harvest resources and build himself some additional Masons, right? So, yeah, he's about to catch up here. It looks like Veeq maybe missed a couple macro cycles on that. His pylon is being sassed. He's not really too interested in doing anything about it. He's just going to warp in a Warden. Well, I don't think that's going to finish. Oh, I see. He builds a redundancy pylon afterwards. All right, well, we have some Ecclesiasts. That'll keep the Zealots alive a lot longer. There are still diverse anchors. Diverse anchors are pretty good versus Zealots. You're going to need to watch out for that. Cleric patching up the Goliath with its nanogun. Another asset that we need to replace at some point is the Cleric. I already redid the Shadow because it was totally foobar by Lard. And here we go. Some more lobotomy mines are going to go ahead and stun a lot of these Zealots. They'll also slow the stockade because you can't stun buildings. At least not that way. A lot of Huracans were able to do a lot of damage to the front line. They're pretty much all dead, and now the Cyprians can reign supreme over things like the Ecclesiasts. The Drakodins are going to go in for another round, and it looks like there was an attempted load up for the Trojan. And what I would like to see here is the patented move that he did versus Shambler in the practice matches for Ascension Grand Finals. An Ecclesiast died. A Drakodin died. We have a Vulture and a Maverick. No, he's not going to go ahead and do the unload on the army as he's engaging, but he doesn't really have that many units, honestly. Like, he built the 1 stockade. All of his infantry have come from a single stockade. His Atlas is done. He's adding starports. In fact, it looks like he's going to add 3 of them if he can. Doesn't really have the minerals right now. He's adding double palladium. He doesn't have more than one drop. His drop now up towards 12 o'clock. Maverick's still on a patrol route, scouting out if there's any bases being made or taken in the bottom left, and more gateways, but no other tech, interestingly enough. Now, there are a pretty good set of defenses over here, but the natural is a little vulnerable. We're going to have two more gates, two more Dracodons rather pop up. That's going to be a very, very big difference. I think if he had focus fired the pylon, he would have actually only had to deal with one Dracodon back at home. The Didact has been made. The tech was hiding from me and from neblime in the top left, and it's actually going to be a Didact first. Looks like he wants to try for a recall. It's just going to take about 10 years to get there. Another gate has arrived, so he's actually got 3 gates again, which is pretty much the same number that he had before his pylon got sniped, and that drop really just did emotional damage. The Trojan does survive on 3 HP, flying over the entire army, which is a bit of a goofball movement. And the anchors are going to try to take something. You can't really build over here, so this bridge is a little treacherous to actually try and take. I guess maybe you could find a way to land another anchor. No, I don't even think you can do that. I think you're just boned. I know this map did receive some changes after some of these games, so we will see what happens here. But a single Didact is going to start channeling recall. And yeah, that's going to be very painful for Monsieur Neblime. His starports were just adding on. Here's the thing, right? Neblime's getting... I'm noticing something about Neblime's playstyle here. Neblime does like to go for the tech rush. He likes to go for the macro game. And I don't even know if he really counted a tech rush, because he does get it middling pace, but like faster than the average tech that you would normally see. But he'll go straight up to starports, and he'll add rotaries. And the problem is the rotaries have a build time, right? Like, okay, you don't need the tech add-on anymore. That was removed in the Ascension 6 patch. But to think about it in these terms, right? As Terran, there are stages that you have to go through. You have to survive a stage with enough military units to riposte enemy attacks, and you have to have enough map control to not get pranked by Didacts and stuff. But, like, the real reason why he GG's there isn't because the army is in his base. It's because he doesn't actually have any military units to fight that. And I don't know why. Like, I guess maybe the reason is a lot of people think that Tier 1 Terran is so bad that they just want to skip it entirely. But I think Fulcrum units, particularly the Scrapyard units, can be very, very good. Obviously, the Vestry units are very good for support. Bio is being pushed in a direction where it's more mobile than mech, so at the very least, you'll be able to do some early pressure, and I think that will mostly be applicable to Zerg, and maybe in certain cases of TVT. But Vultures are very good versus the Gateway Army. I think Cyclops can be good versus like Zealots specifically. We haven't really seen too many people use Zealots, which is kind of interesting because I also feel like they're very powerful. But yeah, so anyway, I'm thinking about all that. I'm like going through the motions and like trying to shadow box all these scenarios in my head. And I do think that like Blackjack Matador is king versus toss. I think it gives you a lot of power without really spending a lot of your gas, so you can sort of use that if you're in a state versus Protoss, but you have to, again, you have to get to the point where you have Fulcrums, and then you have to get to the point where you have the add-ons to the Fulcrums. And you can't just go straight into Fulcrum, Palladium after Atlas, or, you know, like Starport, oh, let me not build any units out of the Starport. I just invested all this money into the tech, and then all this money into the Starports, and now I'm going to wait again to build any units. I feel like that's a critical weakness because it extends and maximizes this window of timing where you don't really have anything that you can do as the Terran player. So if I had to give Neblime some advice, for whatever it's worth from his perspective, I would say try to get to a point where you're building more units in that mid-game state so that you don't get bopped by a play, or like, because honestly, Veeq could have just A-moved the front gate and it would have been harder, there would have been more casualties, but the outcome would have been the same. Veeq just has way more units and still was able to kind of tech behind that, although the tech was still, it was one structure, right? So it was like 6 gates, one actual structure that wasn't a gate. He just had such a massive military advantage that like Terran is supposed to be able to outnumber the Protoss, just like Zerg is supposed to be able to outnumber the other 2 races, right? And he wasn't really able to do that because he was being very, very light. So anyway, Neblime's biggest, play all the time tends to be greed and just tends to be, well, maybe greed is the wrong word, but it feels greedy to me. Very macro-focused player, very economically focused player. So there is that. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this third and final match between Veeq and Neblime on Fata Morgana. We've got more castovers coming to you, and some of them will be on new maps, some of them will be on the new patch, and some of them will be blasts from the past. So stay tuned.